What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Scene Snob reviews. I, of course, might make it a little bit. You don't know. You don't know how many takes I have to do. Oh my god! Don't make me laugh. You can make me laugh. I'm sorry. I can't look at you and not like have a fun time laughing. Like want to think about like Derek football or some shit. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Scene Snob Reviews. I am Mick Manhattan, the Scene Snob. I am back again, and I am joined today by a very close personal friend of mine, one of my best friends for many years, singer, songwriter. He has put out so much great content and music through Unlisted Productions. The unlisted artist himself, Mr. Derrick Spears.
What's up? Great to be here. I'm so honored, man. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, sir. Dude, I am always. It's always great. I mean, it's always great just to talk to you, but have you on.
Absolutely.
D and I go back a very long way. I'm already starting to laugh. Like I said, every time, even when I look at him, I think about the crazy stuff we did back in the day. But today we are here to review the movie Soul. I wanted to bring Derrick on because he is a musician and he understands that world. And nobody wants to hear some guy on the internet, some geek on the internet, as I should say, me, just to talk about what they thought about the movie. I want to get an actual professional's opinion. So we both saw the movie Soul. It's about a guy named Joe who unfortunately dies after getting the biggest gig of his life as a musician. And he has to navigate the afterlife and mentor another soul along the way to try and get back down to earth before his big gig that night. So it was this is Disney Pixar. They went full force, and I gotta say, it was a very interesting movie. I liked a lot of things about it. There are some I didn't, and we'll get into that. But I want to hear what you thought about it first, like what you thought about the movie overall.
Right. Well, first of all, I loved how it looked. Thought it looked incredible. The artwork, the sound, everything. I enjoyed it. I could picture myself watching this many times in the future. Another thing that I really enjoyed about it is I really feel they took a lot of risk with this movie, and I like seeing movies that take risks. First of all, the main character, like you said, dying in the first couple of minutes of the movie was pretty out there, and I had read an article about it before that, and when I read that, I said, wait a minute, but I thought it was really good. I thought the authenticity really shined through, and I feel like they really did their research when it came to trying to portray what jazz means to people. So I think that was probably my biggest takeaway. I don't want to get too far into it because I know you want to talk also, but that's my overall first take of the movie.
Well, the thing is, I love that. And one of the things that you mentioning, like how realistic it is to, like, just, life of a musician being out there doing the grind. I remember a long time ago, I met Anthony Bourdain. He was the keynote speaker at a film festival I was working at.
That's great.
And when he was talking about, what the most realistic chef movie there is in existence. And this is 2007 or so. So, and everybody was like chomping at the bit, like saying this movie or that movie. And he was like, it's Ratatouille. He goes right down to the little burns on everybody's fingertips. Mm-hmm. He goes, every aspect of that is real life in working in a kitchen. Mm-hmm. And since then, I've kind of tried to study in a way Pixar movies to see how realistic each actually gets. Yeah, of course, some of them can be just like WALL-E takes place in the future and space and everything.
Right.
But there's a lot of realistic elements that professionals like yourself pick up on very quickly and appreciate. Mm-hmm. And so I really appreciate it. Is there something that stood out to you from the world of music as a musician?
Yeah, we're gonna get into spoilers too, right?
I should mention that this is a spoiler review, so please feel free to go watch the movie first and then come back and watch this. But
I think one of the moments. I mean, there's plenty of moments as a musician that I can relate to in this, and I felt like they did a good job at putting them all through without getting so far into it that the movie became about that. But one of the moments that I loved is when the main character Joe, his father's dragging him into a jazz club. You know, and the last thing he wanted was to be in a jazz club. You could tell by the look on his face. And, you know, he drags him down. And when he's there, you see all the musicians on the wall, all the jazz musicians. Like, I noticed them. I noticed them. You know, because right now I listen to audio. There's no music videos to go back and listen to something from the 1940s. But, you know, my father, you know, he has artwork and he has photographs and stuff of people. So when I see people, I looked at the movie and I like trying to pick out people who are on the walls. But when he dragged him into, you know, the jazz club, and within a couple of seconds his eyes lit up, you know, he was kind of overwhelmed, you know, by the music and what he was hearing. Because I can remember the first time I heard live music being played. And, you know, I was floored and I felt the same kind of way. But even before that, as a younger kid, my father used to always play jazz around the house, always played, you know, R&B, you know, from the 70s. And it, you know, it just hearing these things nowadays, you know, you have, you know, it's nostalgia, but at the same time, it's, you know, you have to have some kind of an appreciation, especially in this movie, because they really, 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 you know, hammered home some really great jazz standards in this also. It wasn't just jazz, it was jazz standards that if you're, you know, any jazz listener is gonna know. And I thought that was really good, but that was probably the first main impactful part to me, was that.
Yeah, and then I think on all levels, anybody who's creative kind of gets that idea of, you know, like, not to that level, because you were literally describing, like, it led you to a life of music, so you're describing it to a T. You know, but I feel like at least the movie touches down on something where any type of creative person, like somebody or a skilled or talented person, picks up a basketball and they play the first game, or they watch the first NBA game or something, like that feeling you have before you get into it, you know, or on so many levels, of course, you know, filmmaking, of course, too, and things like that.
And that's something, not to cut you off, I'm sorry.
No.
And that's something that I put it on my Facebook. You know, I said, if you're an artist, if you know an artist, if you know somebody who knows an artist, I said, this is a good kind of movie to get an insight into what it's like for them. You know, what their life might be like. They might be the greatest, you know, and that's where the post ends and what my commentary begins. But it might start with something that they're so good at, but it's such a struggle the rest of the way to become that level. You know, I know basketball players, you know, when I was growing up, that I thought, oh, this guy's headed for the NBA. And then they don't even make a college team, you know, and then you don't know what it's like. And maybe they didn't make the college team because they were late to the tryout, or their mother was sick, or, you know, something like that. You never know what happens in people's lives. And I think that a lot of times people think, you know, if you really have that kind of talent, like, it's a yellow brick road, and it's really not. You know, it takes a lot of hard work and dedication, right place, right time, you know, who you know. And so they did a really good job, I think, of showing that also.
Yeah, especially the rejection in his life, of doing it. Because I mean, any artist knows you have to know rejection. Everybody, you're going to hear 1,000 no's before you hear one yes.
Right.
And one aspect of this movie that I really liked is when he's in the afterlife and he goes into that room of kind of all of his special moments.
Right.
And he's, you know, kind of walking around, and like they look at sad moments, but then when you kind of turn around, it's like what they were kind of the pick-me-ups from the sad moments.
That's right.
You know, so, and I thought they did that really well, how it was like you can walk around a room and kind of see, you know, because kind of getting into the movie a little bit more, I thought they did a great job in the beginning with the life aspect. The first and second act I really enjoyed of this movie. Overall, the third act, I had some problems with. I thought the ending, I don't know, there's something, when it comes to Pixar movies, there's something about it, like when you watch, Inside Out and stuff like that, they end on sort of a bittersweet note. Like you still get the sadness to it, but there's a happy outcome. There's something has been reached.
Right.
And my biggest, to kind of talk about the ending now so we can get into the full like look and everything in the movie, was Joe gets a second chance to go back down to Earth and live his life again. And 22, you know, of course, he has coached 22 the entire way. And now she's down on Earth. We don't know, we don't know anything about her. And that's great because I like how that was set up.
Right.
The 22 isn't even 22. When she's in her body, we don't know who he, she, whatever is.
Could be anybody, right?
Yeah. And, but then when Joe gets a chance to go back down, I get, for me, it was like, I didn't think he should. Or, well, actually, that's not necessarily true. I thought that the movie showed so well how good he was at mentoring. Like he overlooked it because he was worried about the gig. His purpose was the gig.
Right.
But he was still a mentor, and he was still pretty good at it. And I thought he would get better at it and become more focused at it because he was with 22. But you never find out if he does or not.
Right.
I was kind of hoping of that reconciliation towards the end.
That's a great point because, especially because, prior to getting the big gig with Dorothea Williams, he was a teacher. He was a middle school teacher. And, when the principal or whoever it was that came to him and said, oh, you're going to be full time now. He was there was like a disappointment there.
Yeah.
And then throughout the movie, like you said, he was growing and to understand that, he was inspiring. He's inspiring. The inspiration is really, such a great asset for somebody to have, to give to the new soul that was coming up. And I felt the same way. I did feel the same way. I felt like, we don't know what happened with him after that. Also, was Dorothea Williams the end? The path that he was taking now.
Yeah.
Be with her forever, or is he going to go back to school because he sees that he affected that the drummer Curly in that way that he says, well, this is my path. By the way, played by Questlove. That was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool. That was great. But so I agree with you 100% on that. I felt like they could have easily had showed him going down a path where he says, you know what, now that I have a better understanding of this, because he even said at the end of that gig, he said that, I don't really feel the way I thought I would feel. The fulfillment wasn't there. And so I agree with you 100% on that.
And that, for me, that was the biggest thing. It's like he didn't feel fulfilled after the gig, but he felt fulfilled after he helped 22 get down.
Right.
So for me, it was like, oh, maybe it was the inspiring nature of like being able to help this other soul and being good at it, being the only one out of all of these scholars who couldn't help 22 actually did, and didn't just help her get there, made her love life, made her want to get there as best as possible. Once she realized she was never going to get there, she was a lost soul. So, for him to do that and even inspire a lost soul to come back, I really enjoyed that. And there's so many elements in the story of like, Graham Norton played the voice, but it was the ship captain. Lost soul. So he was another one trying to inspire people to live life. He was a teacher that was kind of like, you're not that. This isn't as important to me. All of these things that just really, I felt like at the end when they opened up the window and said, we're going to let you go back, you could have done it one of two ways. He could have went or could have not went, but you could have fixed it with dialogue even just by saying like, I want to go back because I have a lot more inspiring I think I can do about life. Or he could have been like, no, I think I want to stay. I think there's souls that could really benefit from my help or something like that. You know what I mean? And I felt that would have been a conclusion, kind of a closure to his story rather than like he's just going to live life to the fullest, which is a great message for kids.
Right.
And I still think that is a message that should have been in there.
Mm-hmm.
But, like I found a purpose, not my purpose, but I found a purpose now.
A purpose, right.
Helping 22 made me feel really good. So
Mm-hmm.
that was my only gripe. Everything else about this movie was perfect. I thought it was fantastic. I thought everybody who was in the cast was great. They just played such fun roles. You had, Jamie Foxx and Tina Fey were terrific.
They really were.
Sorry, I was going to say the ever beautiful Angela Bassett playing Dorothea Williams. I was like, yes.
I know, and another, another thing that I really love too is the artwork of the Jerrys, the what do you call them? What do you spirits?
Jerrys are the best way to put them because they're all like different types.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. The artwork inspired by. As soon as I saw that, I said, "Oh, that's Picasso." Know, and that's one of those things that you would see in a Pixar film that just gives you like that extra layer of, they really took that to heart because they could have made them look like anything. Same voices, everything. It would have gotten the point across. But they did so well with that. And then like the pirate ship, the peace-loving pirate ship, I guess you want to call it. He's playing Bob Dylan. I mean, those are the kind of things that, those details that are so like perfect, that make the film just, really, really, really something special to me.
I'll tell you, it's 100%. It's because of right now, probably the best in the business in terms of movie scores and picking movies in general. Music and movies in general is it's Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. I was just about to mention them too before.
Because they said they even had a hand in helping the design, like when he's falling. After he falls off the platform and he's like falling through the afterlife, I guess.
Right.
And like the bass strings are drumming along the way, and like then you hit the cymbals and stuff. Like it's all musical, and everything to the fall is perfectly timed and looks great.
And let me tell you something. This is that moment right there is something that really affected me, and also when he's actually, every time they open up that the escalator thing to the beyond, like that. Oh, that those are the types of things that, when I hear music, that's what I hear. I imagine what, the mood behind that. If this music was playing in the room, what would the room look like? What would the paint on the walls be?
Yeah.
Is it sunny outside? Is it dark outside? Is it raining? Is it snowing? These are all the things that I think about when I just from hearing an instrumental or helping to produce an instrumental or producing an instrumental myself. I think about, these different things, and the movie scoring was just so good on this. It sounded, futuristic, but at the same time it sounded, comfortable at some points. It wasn't like jarring, it was just something that you just kind of imagine, different sounds just coming together, because if he's falling, he may not be feeling that music, but we can feel it watching it. And those are the type that was pretty incredible to me.
Well, for you overall, like how is the story? Like, I had my gripes about the ending, but I still think it's a really good movie. I mean, It's a Pixar movie, it works. But what did you think about the story overall?
I love the story because I just felt like they did such a good job portraying, like I said before, what it's like to be an artist. He gets the audition and he's playing, and he just goes so far off that he's in another, they changed the background. It was like a whole different world that he was in. And when he comes out of it, everybody's kind of staring at him like, what's up with this guy? And he kind of said, sorry, I lost it for a minute. But he didn't lose it. He was more in tune than everybody else. And I think when I'm hearing a new song for the first time, you know, I'm not just listening for the lyrics, and I'm not just waiting for the hook. I'm listening to everything that happened before that, the piano, you know, the cello, the whatever it is. And I feel like when you go to that place, even if you're just listening to it, it's very special. It's a very special moment, you know, as a musician to hear that. As far as the story goes, I thought that, you know, the argument with his mother, you know, I admit, you know, my mother, you know, she passed away in 2013. I remember having those arguments with my mother, lying to her. You know, I hate to say
Yeah.
it now. I'm sorry, Mom. Lying to her about going to do gigs because she was always, you know, oh, what is this going to get you? Where are you going to go with it? You know, she felt like if I didn't walk out the front door and walk right onto the Grammy stage, anything else in between would have been a failure. So I remember having those arguments with her and having, you know, and then another thing too that I really liked about the movie, sorry if I'm rambling,
Please
is
go.
their grasp of Black culture.
Mhm.
I felt like that was very important because a lot of movies, you know, they like to portray, and you know what? I have to give credit. Hollywood is doing a lot better over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Um, it's still not there because it's not in every movie, but they're doing a lot better. And this movie was a good indication of that because they didn't portray Black people as a monolith,
Mhm.
and because we're not, there's all different types of subgenres of of Black
Yeah.
people, and I feel like in this movie, like when he went to the barbershop, everybody knows. I know Mike. In the Black community, the barbershop is like home base. And when you go in there and you're getting these difference of opinion, you get the one guy that's trying to downplay everything you're doing, and you get another guy who's propping you up. Everybody wants to listen, though. That's the beautiful
Yeah.
part about it. It's a therapy session for most people.
Yeah.
And so, you had that moment. The difference is that Joe wasn't in therapy. It was 22 that was in therapy. And all the people were listening, but she still found a comforting place in it. And I
Yep.
thought that was beautiful. Um, the way the jazz club looked, Dorothea
Yeah.
Williams, how she was, the how she was, like a stone faced assassin, you be
Yeah.
here at
That's
6.
her
If you're
work.
not here
Yeah.
at 6, you're done. It's just that simple, and that's how the professionals are. They want everything to be on point, and if it's not on point, you're messing with their craft. You
You
know,
know, it's to sort of get serious, and we're talking about Black culture. One of the things I read too, especially about the Dorothea Williams character being portrayed that way, is and please tell me if I'm right or wrong, but Black women will be more stern in positions of power like
oh
that
yeah,
because, of course, they have to be, because for everybody who has it easier, Black women probably have it the hardest.
avid hardest.
So they have to maintain by being that way.
The
And
black woman is the backbone of the Black community. It's that simple. I don't care who you get to talk to me about it. I will say it 1,000 times out of 1,000.
hmm,
And the Black woman is the one that, and even in the is the one that supports the community. And you're right. Black women get beat up on a lot. And in this, you had very strong female characters, Black
yeah,
women characters. The mother, Dorothea Williams. Um, but also, you know what I thought was uh, really good is that this is really getting deep, but a lot of times you have in the Black community, a lot of times it's portrayed as, come on, hook a brother up.
hmm,
It's like you may not be as good as somebody else out there, but you're Black, so I'm gonna look you out. That's
hmm,
not the way it is. If I'm putting together a show and if I'm putting up together a show and we're gonna open up for Wu-Tang, I want the best of the best there. And I got that sense from Dorothea Williams. Her the way she was portrayed like that. I love that. She doesn't want to. This is her name that's on the billboard. You know, she can't have somebody
That's a
that
great
she
point.
thought was not going to show up. She can't have a flake. And so I
Yeah.
love that. And also another part is when Joe's mother, you know, when they were having an argument about, okay, well, where's this going to go? Your father loved music. I'm not going to see you go down that path. And then he says, oh, so my father can achieve his dreams, can chase his dreams, but I can't. And then she says, yeah, because he had me. She said, this shop pays the bills, paid the bills. You get what I'm saying? The
Yeah.
backbone. You know, it's like, okay, yes, he was running around, you know, doing gigs or whatever. You know, would he have been a millionaire? Who knows? You know, but the fact is, she says, this shop, I was the backbone of the family. I'm the
I
one that supported it.
I gave up my dream so he could live his.
Of course. Of
Yeah.
course. And it's a very, very bold and real statement. I mean, in black communities and black families, you know, the black woman is the backbone. And I thought that they did a really good job with that. I keep saying they did a really good job with that. I can't help it.
No, but one thing but you're right, because of how Hollywood has been with black people and black culture for so long.
Mm-hmm.
It is good to see it's changing for a positive way,
Right.
where you're making the right moves. And like with Soul, one thing I really like, and this isn't a black culture, black people. This is, you know, overall kinds of what you were saying, like hook me up. When Curly calls him, Curly isn't calling him because it's like, you know, Joe's calling him all the time, and like, hey, can you give me a gig?
Right.
He's calling him because he truly respects this man. He inspired him.
That's right.
And Curly got to a point, a level that Joe never did.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's just looking back and saying, you're the guy who got me here. There's no way you can't not do this.
Right.
But you
right.
can't be this way. Like, you have to get it together. And
Right.
that's what I loved about it. And then him coming in and just that he was talented enough to be there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if this is going to be your purpose, you got to make it happen, you know?
Right.
And I liked that feeling of it, because that's a universal feeling. Everybody kind of has that insecurities and stuff like that, or even that flakiness and to some degree. And, you know, everybody
especially as artists, because artists, I mean, let's face it, you know, our emotions they run high, you know, and so, you know, it can be, you know, it's like how many rejections are weighing on you when you go into that room for the next audition. You know, how many you know, failures, how many things didn't work out that are working on you by the time you come in to that next audition. It's a very real thing. And 22 was acting as Joe through a lot of those ups and downs, you know, and I love that. I love that too. He was watching it from the outside.
Yeah.
You know?
And one of those things too, to that effect, is look at all of the stories that you hear that was like, I was about to quit acting before I got this role. Like Gal Gadot was like, I was about to pack it up and go back to Israel and go live and quit acting because I was done. And then she got Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. You know, and things have gone up for her there, and she shows her talent all the time. But I wonder if it's the audition process when you've finally reached a point where it's like, I don't care if after I do this, whether I do good or not, I'm quitting. So I'm just going to give this one last try. And then it's always that turn of, you got the role and it changed your life. Right. I almost wonder if it's you let everything go and you just did what you had to do. And that skill, that talent, everything you've cultivated over years finally shows up.
Right.
Like in Soul, I think he had to go through that whole day. His mother nagging him, the job being on the table, you know, all of this stuff had to be stressing him so he could finally get to the point where it's like, if this doesn't work out, I'm done. I'm never going to be able to do this.
Right.
So he just played.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they were like, this is perfect.
Yeah, blown away. That's right. Mm-hmm. He said that too to Curly. He said, I could die a happy man if I ever got to play with her.
Yeah.
You know, and then minutes later he was gone. You know, before he had that one chance, was, you know, it was like like a little kick in the pants right there, for him.
They do it
So
so well. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I love to hear this. So I mean, it gets a seal of approval. I mean, you are a god honest, hardworking musician. I've seen it for years. I see it now. And if Soul gets the bill of goods, then
Oh yeah.
I'm definitely gonna check it out again. I keep thinking about that ending, but I bet you if I give it a rewatch, I'll probably shut up.
I did watch it a second time, and I feel the way you feel about it. I do, but I feel like there's so many other great things about it that it just it really doesn't. Every time I think about it, I don't think the ending should have been different. Because I don't feel like it should have been different. It should have just been more, like a little bit more.
Only, and that's it. Only a little bit more.
Yeah.
It was that good, though. I'll rewatch it. Don't get me wrong, because it is.
No, I know.
Very good.
I know you. I know you're gonna rewatch it.
Listen, look at me. Pixar movies are like pizza. Even when it's bad, it's great. All right.
It's great. Yes.
And I know my pizza. I mean,
right.
I want to close out on one thing. I want to get your opinion on this because
Sure.
we kind of touched down on culture. We touched down on music. Touched down on everything. We're both from North Jersey. Mm-hmm. We've been in New York plenty of times. We know that city.
Yeah, absolutely.
For all the people who are going to call us Bridge and Tunnel, I'm not going to say, but we've worked in that city. We've done plenty in that city.
Right.
How dead on was that movie?
Oh,
with the life of New York City.
It really was. It really was. And that's another moment that I remember too. The first time going to the city, feeling overwhelmed, like how 22 was in Joe's body. And she comes out of the hospital he comes out of the hospital with the hospital gown on. And you see helicopters and people bumping into each other and the cars and the police officer directing traffic, but at the same time, it makes you feel alive, and it just, it's so overwhelming. It just feels good to feel that much at once, kind of like being on a roller coaster or an amusement ride. The first time you do that, or a slide at a playground, it's like, it just feels something that you just won't forget. But I love that. And I love the half note that they went to, the Blue Note. I took my father there for Christmas one year, a nice Christmas show. It was like a couple of days to Christmas. And the place, it even watching on television, it feels real.
Yeah.
It just feels like you're there. The darkness of it, the feeling, even without smoking, it still feels like there's a haze there.
Mm-hmm.
And then they played a montage of the Dorothea Williams show, and they played a song called Cristo Redentor by Duke Pearson, which is one of the most famous, jazz records ever. And just hearing that, I felt like it was washing over me, I have nothing to do with that song. I've heard it millions of times on tape. I've never even seen it played live. But it's just such a jazz standard that it just felt like, it just felt like a warm blanket. Oh, and another thing I just wanted to mention real quick is, what I loved also is that Dorothea Williams wasn't a vocalist, or they didn't have Joe singing.
Yeah.
I thought that was important because there is a difference between the music of jazz and then, vocalist. Having those two things together is awesome. Don't get me wrong. And most of the jazz that I have in my collection has singing on it.
Yeah.
But I think it's very important to understand the feeling of the jam session, where they're all just basically freestyling on their instruments and creating. When she gave him the audition, that was that. She just started playing, drummer started playing, bass started playing, and then he just had to catch up. Yep. And then eventually he just took off. And I thought that was incredible, great, just perfect way to do the audition. Not okay, Caravan from the top, like Whiplash, like the movie Whiplash, or Caravan from the top. It wasn't that. Not something that somebody could have had memorized, but somebody that just has the instrument in front of them and they just have to mesh with
Yeah.
everybody there. I felt like that was such an important part of jazz, and it was so beautiful the way he did that.
And that's I'm glad you mentioned that, because anybody, like, I've been fortunate enough to be friends with great musicians like yourself, and be a part of, not a part of, because I am not a musician, but to be a part of by listening,
Right.
going to jazz clubs, things like that.
Right.
Real jazz clubs, like you're saying, because like you can go to a jazz club and it's not a real, like you said, it's got to be a jam session.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, all of my experiences have ever been in like homes. Usually it's like 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
We had a great time out.
Right.
And it's like everybody's like, let's go, let's have a jam session. Yeah, I'll just sit in the corner and listen. That's no problem.
Right. Right.
That's always the most fun, and it is the most, it's almost like the most pure and realistic way of doing music. And the only thing I would compare to it, and you know this, is freestyling. Again, not something I do, but something I appreciate.
Right.
And you can sit there and you can just listen to people, and it just, they'll go for so long, and it's just all improv. And you're like,
what's more artistic than people just coming together and just playing the instrument the way they want to play it at that particular time? Because a drummer that's in an orchestra, eventually he might have to play something, or she might have to play something that's not this one again,
Oh yeah, but in this sense, it's like, I got a sound that will sound good with that, and then it's you're not trying to match, you're just trying to.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, please. I mean, you're the professional, man.
No, I was gonna say, and it's a challenge, which is another aspect of art that that people if you're not an artist, you may not understand. It's like for you, with everything you've done in film, like you look at something and you say, how can I bring the aspect, this part of the story to people in a way that's really going to have an impact on them. I mean, anybody could set up a camera on a tripod and just say, all right, you guys got your lines. I'm gonna eat a sandwich. No, it's not about that. It's about making sure that every little detail is meaningful in a way. And that's the same thing with music, and especially with jazz. I mean, jazz, to me, I've always said this before, is that hip hop and jazz are closer to each other than people think. Because of the fact of things just mashing up together to create something else. And so that's the way I always look at it. So that's my love for jazz. When I hear a trumpet solo, I'm hearing it over a steady beat. I'm hearing how a rapper would use his cadence or her cadence to ride over that beat in the same way that the trumpet player is playing. Like, okay, now first I want to go in between, and then I want to go above, and then I want to go below, and then I mix it all up together. That's how rappers think when they sit down to write rhymes. It's exactly how rappers think. Nice. So I look at them as being closer than any other two genres.
That is so awesome. And so I mean, you've made me want to go watch Soul again, like now.
Awesome. I watched it today. I watched it this morning.
And that's what I'm going to tell everybody watching. You guys should go check out Soul. Like I said, I mean, there were some things, and it was a very small, minute thing towards the end that did not ruin the movie for me in any way. And that's just me. And I would love to hear what you guys think. So comment down below so that way we can answer and we can kind of go back and forth. But you can't do that unless you hit the subscribe button and the notifications button, because we have content every day. You just got to hit those buttons.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us, D. Thank you for being on, man. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all your insights. Is there anything you got going on right now that you want to promote?
First of all, I just want to say I'm honored to be with you anytime. It's it's an incredible joy for me just to hang out with you, first of all. But second, talk about things we love. I love it. Well, right now, I mean, there's been a lot of things outdoors on hold because of the pandemic. Hopefully we get through that pretty soon so that everybody can get back to life. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if I'm complaining about projects, then I'm not really complaining about much. So I'm thankful for being able to just hold off for now on those projects. But I've just been writing. I wrote an album for somebody. Hopefully we can get in the studio and do that pretty soon. Hopefully they'll have vaccines at the door. Maybe, I don't know. That'll be awesome. But
Yeah.
but either way, you know, I want to get back in the studio soon. I wrote an album for somebody. She's working on it. Female rapper actually, and I'm really excited about that. And just, you know, just holding it down until I can get some video projects done. I have some video projects. I have 6 projects lined up. It's just a matter of which one I can do first safely.
Yeah.
So that's just about it.
Well, I'm so excited, man. And we're going to have everything for United. Reunited? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Unlisted Productions. We're going to have everything down in the description. So go check them out. Go check out Dee's music. I'm going to link down to his YouTube below so you can check that out as well. I love the music videos, man. And yeah, so just check out Soul. Make sure you check out Unlisted Productions. Please come back, check us out here at thescenesnobs.com. We love the support. And again, hit that subscribe button and check us out on thescenesnobs.com. We have links to everything there. So until next time, everybody, thanks for watching and take care.
Thanks, brother. Thank you.
Oh, man, thank you.